Welcome to Beyond the Prompt, the AI podcast, based on discussions of the Large Language Model Reading Group of the Leiden Institute of Advanced Computer Science.
Oh, wow.
Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of LLM reasoning.
Okay.
You've probably seen those headlines about AI solving like math problems or even writing code. But have you ever wondered how they actually reason through those tasks?
It's a question that has captivated researchers for years now. We're moving beyond simply feeding information into these models and just hoping for the best,
Yeah.
We're now exploring how to make them think more logically, step by step, to solve those complex problems.
So it's like we're trying to teach these massive language models to think more like us.
And the exciting thing is we are making real progress.
Nice.
So this deep dive will use a recent survey paper, Reasoning with Large Language Models, a survey, along with insights from our own LLM reading group discussions,
Right.
to explore just how far this research has come.
So for our listener,
Yeah.
imagine you're planning that dream vacation.
Mm-hmm.
An LLM could easily find you flights and hotel, but could it figure out the absolute best itinerary, considering your budget, the time you have, and all the things you want to do?
Right.
That's the level of reasoning we're talking about.
Exactly. And to understand that, we need to start with the basics. What does reasoning even mean in the context of an LLM?
Right.
The survey paper draws a helpful distinction between two types of thinking, often called System 1 and System 2.
I'm intrigued. Break it down for us.
Okay, so think of System 1 as your brain's autopilot. It's fast, intuitive, and relies on ingrained knowledge and patterns. Translating a simple sentence, recognizing a familiar face, that's System 1 at work.
Okay, so it's like our instant reaction based on what we already know. What about System 2?
System 2 is the deliberate step-by-step thinking we engage in when faced with more complex challenges.
Gotcha.
Solving a tricky math problem, writing code to meet specific requirements, planning that intricate vacation itinerary you mentioned. These all require System 2 thinking.
So the real challenge is getting LLMs to operate more in that System 2 mode, right?
You hit the nail on the head. And one of the most significant breakthroughs in this area has been something called chain of thought prompting.
Oh, interesting.
Essentially, instead of just asking the LLM for a direct answer, we prompt it to explain its reasoning process step by step.
So instead of just giving us the solution, it has to show its work, so to speak.
Yes, exactly.
I can see how that would be beneficial, but does it actually make a difference?
A huge difference.
Right.
Take the GSM-8K benchmark, which is a data set of grade school math problems. A standard GPA-3 model only manages to solve about 15.6% of those problems correctly.
Wow, that's not very impressive considering their grade school level.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
But with chain of thought prompting, that accuracy jumps to almost 47%.
Wow, that's a big jump.
It's a remarkable improvement that really highlights the power of this technique.
So just by prompting the LLM to think out loud, we're unlocking a whole new level of reasoning abilities. But how do we know those thoughts are actually valid?
That's a great question.
Is there a way to ensure the LLM isn't just making lucky guesses?
And it leads us to another set of techniques aimed at evaluating and controlling the reasoning process.
Okay.
Researchers have come up with some clever ways to address this.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are some of these techniques and how do they work?
One approach is called self-consistency, where you essentially have the LLM solve the same problem multiple times, but with different chains of thought. If it consistently arrives at the same answer through different reasoning paths, it increases our confidence in the validity of its logic.
So it's like getting a second opinion from the LLM itself. I like that. What other methods are being explored?
Another fascinating technique involves translating the problem into a formal language, like code or mathematical equations. The beauty of this is that we can then use external programs to verify the correctness of those formal representations.
Ah, so it's like having a built-in fact checker for the LLM's reasoning.
Precisely. And this has been particularly successful in areas like code generation, where ensuring accuracy is paramount. But as you can imagine, formalizing every problem into code or equations isn't always practical.
Right. That sounds incredibly time-consuming. Are there any other ways to guide the reasoning process without resorting to such formal methods?
Absolutely. Researchers are also exploring techniques that control the LLM's reasoning more directly.
Okay.
One common approach is greedy selection. It's like choosing the most promising path at each step, hoping it leads to the correct solution.
So it's a bit like using a GPS to navigate.
Yes.
You trust that each turn it suggests will ultimately get you to your destination. But what happens if the LLM picks a wrong turn early on? Could it get stuck down a dead end?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
With greedy selection, there's always a risk of getting trapped in a suboptimal solution because of an early misstep. To address this, researchers have developed ensemble strategies where the LLM explores multiple reasoning paths simultaneously.
So instead of putting all its eggs in one basket, it hedges its bets and considers multiple options in parallel. That sounds much more robust. Are there any other strategies in this category?
One that holds a lot of promise is using reinforcement learning to guide the reasoning process. This treats reasoning as a sequential decision-making problem, where the LLM learns to choose the best steps based on rewards and penalties.
Reinforcement learning. Isn't that the technique behind those incredible AI systems that can beat humans at complex games like Go and chess?
Yes. And now researchers are applying it to the challenge of LLM reasoning.
Wow.
Techniques like react and reflection, which allow the LLM to learn from its mistakes and interact with external tools, are showing impressive results.
This is all incredibly fascinating, but it also feels like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible. Where do you see this research heading in the future? What are the big picture implications of LLMs becoming increasingly adept at reasoning?
Well, that's a question that leads us to the very heart of AI research and its potential impact on our world. The ability for these models to reason opens up incredible possibilities.
Yeah.
Imagine a world where LLMs can help us tackle complex problems in fields like medicine, engineering, or even climate science.
It's like having a super intelligent research assistant who can analyze data, generate hypotheses, and even design experiments.
Yes.
The potential for scientific discovery is mind-blowing.
Absolutely. But as with any powerful technology, there are also potential downsides.
Of course.
And ethical considerations we need to address.
That's a crucial point. We need to ensure these models are developed and used responsibly.
Yes.
Especially as they become more integrated into our lives.
One challenge we face is the problem of hallucination. Even with all these reasoning techniques, LLMs can still generate incorrect or nonsensical information.
Right.
They can get things wrong, and sometimes they can even confidently present those wrong answers as if they were facts.
So it's like a student who has mastered the formulas but doesn't fully grasp the underlying concepts. You might apply the wrong formula or misinterpret the result, leading to inaccurate conclusions.
That's a great analogy, and it highlights the importance of not blindly trusting the output of these models.
Right.
We need to develop methods to detect and mitigate these hallucinations. It's like double-checking the work of that super intelligent research assistant. We can't just assume everything they produce is gold.
Right.
We need to critically evaluate their findings and ensure they make sense. It seems like we're still a long way from creating LLMs that can truly think for themselves, adapt to new challenges,
and learn in a way that mirrors human intelligence.
That's true. We're still in the early stages of understanding and developing LLM reasoning, but the progress we've made in just the past few years is astounding.
And this research raises some profound questions about the nature of intelligence itself.
Right.
If we can teach machines to reason, what does that tell us about our own cognitive abilities? Are we simply biological machines following a set of algorithms? Or is there something more to human thought?
These are philosophical questions that have been debated for centuries, and the advancements in AI are only adding fuel to the fire.
It's fascinating and a little bit unsettling at the same time. But it's also incredibly exciting to be living in a time where we're pushing the boundaries of what's possible with artificial intelligence.
And as we continue to delve deeper into LLM reasoning, we're likely to uncover even more surprising insights and potential applications.
So for our listeners who are eager to learn more about this rapidly evolving field, what are some of the key takeaways they should keep in mind?
First, remember that LLM reasoning is a complex and multifaceted area of research. There's no single magic bullet that will suddenly make these models perfect reasoners.
It's an ongoing journey of discovery, researchers constantly developing new techniques and pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Second, be aware of the limitations. LLMs can hallucinate, struggle with generalization, and are still heavily dependent on the data they're trained on.
So it's crucial to approach their output with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Yes.
And to always consider the potential biases that might be embedded in their training data.
And finally, don't be afraid to explore and experiment. There are numerous resources available online, including open source models and data sets that allow you to get hands-on experience with LLM reasoning.
It's a great way to gain a deeper understanding of the technology and to see firsthand the incredible potential it holds.
Let's shift our focus to the broader implications of this research. How might LLM reasoning transform our world in the years to come?
It's a question that sparks both excitement and a bit of trepidation.
Yeah.
On the one hand, we have the potential for incredible advancements in fields like healthcare, education, and scientific discovery. But on the other hand, there are concerns about job displacement.
Of course.
The spread of misinformation.
Yeah.
And the ethical considerations of increasingly autonomous AI systems.
So it's a complex landscape that requires careful navigation and thoughtful discussion.
What are your thoughts on how we can harness the power of LLM reasoning while mitigating the potential risks?
That's the million-dollar question. It's essential to have open and honest conversations about the societal impact of this technology.
We need to ensure that the development and deployment of LLMs are guided by ethical principles that prioritize human well-being and societal benefit.
And we need to be proactive in addressing potential biases and ensuring that these systems are used fairly and responsibly.
It's a tall order.
It is.
But it's a challenge we must embrace if we want to unlock the full potential of LLM reasoning while safeguarding our values and our future.
As we move into the final part of our deep dive, let's consider some specific examples of how LLM reasoning might transform various industries.
From personalized medicine to automated writing. And even the creation of new forms of art and entertainment. The possibilities are truly vast. It's amazing to think about how this technology could revolutionize the way we live and work. Imagine a world where LLMs can help us create personalized learning plans, tailor medical treatments to individual patients, or even compose music that resonates with our deepest emotions.
And let's not forget about the potential for automation. LLMs could streamline tasks like data analysis, report writing, and even customer service, freeing up human time and resources for more creative and strategic endeavors.
That raises the question of how LLMs might reshape the job market. Will they replace certain jobs? Or create new ones? And how do we prepare for those changes?
It's a valid concern and one that requires careful consideration. History has shown that technological advancements often lead to job displacement in some sectors, while simultaneously creating new opportunities in others.
So it's not necessarily about LLMs taking over our jobs, but rather about how we adapt and learn to work alongside them.
Exactly. We need to focus on developing skills that complement AI, such as creativity, critical thinking, and emotional intelligence.
It's about embracing lifelong learning and being adaptable to the evolving demands of the workplace.
Precisely. And as LLMs become more sophisticated, we need to ensure that their development and deployment are aligned with our ethical values and societal goals.
This brings us back to the importance of responsible AI development. How can we ensure that these systems are used for good and don't perpetuate existing biases or create new ones?
Transparency is key.
Okay.
We need to understand how these models are trained, what data they're using, and what biases might be embedded in those data sets.
Like knowing the ingredients of a recipe. You wouldn't want to eat something if you didn't know what was in it,
Exactly.
We need to foster open dialogue and collaboration among researchers, policymakers, industry leaders, and the public to address the complex ethical challenges that arise as this technology continues to evolve.
It's a shared responsibility that requires a multifaceted approach. But ultimately, I believe the potential benefits of LLM reasoning far outweigh the risks. As long as we proceed with caution and a commitment to responsible innovation.
Well said. It's an exciting time to be following the advancements in LLM reasoning. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, the technical details of how these models work, to the broader societal implications of their increasing capabilities.
And as we wrap up, I'd like to leave our listeners with a final thought to ponder.
By all means, go ahead.
As LLMs continue to evolve and become more integrated into our lives, it's essential to remember that they are tools. Tools that can be used for good or for ill, depending on the intentions of those who wield them. The future of LLM reasoning, and indeed the future of AI itself, is not predetermined. It's a future that we are actively shaping through our choices, our actions, and our commitment to creating a world where technology serves humanity.
That's a powerful message to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of LLM reasoning. We hope you've gained some valuable insights and perhaps even more questions to explore. Until next time, keep those minds curious and those prompts creative.